I've been all over this country, met all kinds of people. Today, I'm going to meet a few more.
Okay, so I guess I'm not miking then?
Bob White, that's your real name?
That's my real name, yeah. Well, that's what I go by. It's Robert, but
Okay.
I go by Bob.
Isn't it a bird? Isn't it Bob White?
Yeah, I get that a lot.
I bet you do.
Yeah, a lot. All my life.
Where's home?
Originally from Mobile, Alabama,
Yeah.
and joined the Navy in 1982. Of course, left
Yeah.
and never went back. All my family's still there, but did my last tour of duty in New Orleans, and when I retired, I stayed in the New Orleans area on the North Shore.
So you were in the, how long were you in the Navy?
20 years, 1 month, 4 days.
But who's counting?
Not me. Not anymore, anyway.
If I ask what you did, are you allowed to tell me?
Yeah, I was explosive ordnance. Well, let me take that back. My first tour of duty was on fast attack submarines. I loved it so much, I volunteered to take bombs apart.
All right. Explain so people understand, what's the difference between a submarine and one you were on?
Well, I can't tell you the difference between one submarine and the other than their assignments, and there's not a whole lot I can talk about other than they smell really bad. Because you come up and you ventilate every once in a while, and so you deal with all the bilge smells. When we leave, we put all of our clothes into bags. We double bag them in trash bags, so that at least our first Liberty port we smell okay. Once you open those bags, though, it's too late.
Submarines.
Submarines.
Is it everything they're cracked up to be?
No. Like I said, I did my first tour, and I was a nice seaman, interior communications electrician. Was one of the 3 divers, and I was sitting down at the WLC, which is the weapons launch console, in the torpedo room, and I was reading our dive magazine, and on the back cover it had a picture of this EOD detachment casting out of the back of a helicopter. I was like, dude, that looks so cool. And so at the end of my tour, I was either going to get out or I was going to go EOD. And I went EOD. I went in the Navy because,
EOD stands for?
Explosive Ordnance Disposal.
Okay.
Bomb
Because you
check.
guys, you got 20 years in plus whatever stuff you can't talk about. So you've been, you're in the midst of an army of acronyms.
Yeah.
You understand, right?
And they change
They
all the
constantly
time.
change. Yeah. Talking to you guys, I need a translator half the time. But
Well, I did 20 years, and now I'm back in it as a contractor for the military.
Yeah.
And now I'm having to learn a whole new set of acronyms. I got them written all over my desk, so I don't forget them. And I listen to the guys, and it's like, man, I don't want to act like I don't know what that acronym is. I'll go Google it or something,
Right.
or I'll know. It's like, dude, what does that stand for?
the story of my life, man. What does that stand for? What does that mean? What does it mean to have served for as long as you've done and to have lived for as old as you are? And I only say that because I know we were born about the same time.
Yeah, you're older than I am, though.
Of course, by like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But you were attracted to most of what you did in the military. It feels like because it looked like fun,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm interested in hearing from you about this like intersection between that's fun and that's cool versus that's important and that's necessary and that's meaningful. And I just find the most interesting people walking around the planet have usually figured out how to balance those two things.
Well, there's that old saying, if you love what you do, you never work another day in your life. And so you try to find something that you're attracted to. I never thought that I would be attracted to unexploded ordnance, and so I can't really explain that one.
Well, just talk about the human feeling. If you can help people understand what it must feel like to deactivate a piece of ordnance that could blow you in the last week.
Well, now I never went to Iraq, never went to Afghanistan. Was never in combat, but I did deploy, basically, you know, getting rid of unexploded ordnance from previous wars. And most of that, you just, what we refer to as bip it. You blow it in place. There was a rocket that we had to excavate that was found on a construction site. This was one of the islands off of Guam that I was stationed at Millimeter 5. And so most of the time, we just countercharge it with however many explosives we decide to. Our mathematical formula was P equals plenty. So you just had to make sure you had enough.
So what do you love about this country?
Everything. Yeah, it's got its issues. There was a guy that came on television. He was a Trump supporter. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. He was a Trump
We're
supporter.
We're in American Legion.
Okay.
You can say anything you want.
Yeah. And he was from Cuba. And he got all teary in his, you know, saying what he had to say. And he said, basically he said, folks, y'all don't know how good y'all have it here. And even as bad as it is now, it's so much better than what I can.
So with your military background and your first responder, your cop, all these things, what do you guys know that the rest of the country doesn't? Like, and I guess if you can frame it in terms of perspective, like the guy you were talking about from Cuba, who's just like, how do you explain to somebody how good they have it if they've never been anywhere?
Had to run to something instead of away from
Right.
something.
So you're just a kid from Mobile pumping gas, and then you're seeing the world, and now you've been there and you've done all of it. So
Yeah.
what can we learn?
Appreciate what you have. And it doesn't, you know, anybody that lives in the United States of America has it better than most. I mean, I've worked in Vietnam. I wasn't in the Vietnam War. We was just over there doing repatriation missions. I was there for unexploded ordnance. And to see how they live over there, I've been to Bangladesh. I've seen how they live over there. Folks here, they ain't got nothing to complain about. I mean, they got it good. You get to worship as you want. You can come and go as you want. You can go to the grocery store.
I mean, the guys at PureTalk, I know you know this, but the America's Warrior Partnership and the work they're doing in that space, I'd love to get your thoughts on that, because I think this country does a pretty good job of preparing guys like you to do the work you do.
Yes.
But I'm not sure what we're doing to prepare them to re-enter polite society.
Well, when I came out of the military, there wasn't a whole lot of programs. They sent me to TAPS, which just prepares you for transitioning in civilian life. There was nobody there to really help me to go through the VA process, because I got beat up a little bit, and it was a long process for me. When I went back in 21 as an instructor for the active duty guys, the programs that they have in place now, it just blows me away how they, make attempts anyway to help these guys, not only to transition to civilian life, but also to reap the most out of their benefits. Yeah.
Last question. I could talk to you all day, but I can't. But whether it's how important is it to take a pledge or live by a code? And I know as a cop, you had to raise your hand. You had to make a promise. In the military, make a promise. In a marriage, all these things. How's that translate into a value that's important to you? Integrity?
Integrity. It's all about integrity. A man who's not good for his word is a worthless individual.
How important is it to you to be around people who share that belief, or do business with companies who share that belief? Does it?
Yeah.
It affirmatively matters.
Trust is something you have to earn. You don't just give that out. you have to prove to me that you're trustworthy, that I can pour into you, or that I can confide in you, and that you got my back, that you got my six.
Well, a promise made is a debt unpaid.
It's good meeting you, sir.
Good to meet you, Bob Wayne.
PureTalk. Switch to a wireless company that actually stands for something.